The Green Climate Fund, GCF, is the world's largest multilateral climate fund and has committed more than $6 billion in projects across more than 100 countries in the world. These projects are meant to help communities mitigate and adapt to climate change. Despite the best intentions, there are risks that a project may bring about negative side effects on communities. These could include forced resettlement of some groups of people, increased social inequality, or increased threats to biodiversity. And to make sure that these projects take steps to minimize any negative effects on communities, the GCF has put in place Environmental and Social Safeguards, or ESS for short.
As an operating entity of the UNFCCC financial mechanism, the GCF is explicitly mandated to promote development pathways which are low emission pathways and as well resilient. To do this, the GCF is set out to do the following two things. One, it is requested by its governing instrument to develop its own ESS standards as well as policies that are internationally sound. And secondly, it's also requested to promote environmental and social co-benefits.
Co-benefits. By this term, we mean the integration of environmental and social sustainability into climate change projects. In practice, this means that projects should not simply avoid creating negative side effects. Rather, they should go one step further and actively work to create positive benefits for communities.
Most agencies that are directing their efforts towards climate are focusing on doing no harm to the environment, doing no harm to societies that they are intervening in. We're saying that this is not sufficient. It is really important for agencies like the GCF to achieve positive benefits for people, both in terms of environment as well as in terms of equity and other social indicators for people while achieving their climate impacts.
This evaluation is based on high-quality evidence and asks questions like, how well is the GCF managing and preventing the adverse impacts of its projects? Is it effectively promoting these co-benefits? And how well is it monitoring and reporting on these efforts?
ESS is an important area to evaluate because in the context of climate change financing, the GCF aims to effectively and equitably manage environmental and social risks and impacts, as well as improve outcomes of all GCF financing activities.
The ESS evaluation uses the mixed method approach that combines the qualitative and quantitative data. We conducted an extensive document review, an extensive portfolio analysis, semi-structured interview, and focus group discussions with board members, advisors to the board members, and other stakeholders. So with that, the evaluation team is strongly evident that the recommendation provided in this report is robust and credible to help the GCF moving forward.
When we looked at the benchmarking across different peer organizations and climate funds, as well as the question of policies and the policies in reflection to other organizations, we found that there are several gaps that need to be highlighted. One of these gaps is with respect to human rights. So the GCF currently does not have guidance on how to do screening and assessments on human rights. Also, the GCF has currently no stakeholder engagement policy, and we believe that's a shortcoming.
I mentioned before that the evaluation also looked into how well the GCF is monitoring its efforts in this area. Well, the evaluation found that in some regards, there is room for improvement.
What we found is that the GCF has no consistent way of monitoring or measuring environmental and social adverse impacts, outcomes, co-benefits, and the overall environmental and social performance of the fund. To this date, the GCF relies solely on self-reporting through the accredited entities and has not been able to fully operationalize the monitoring and accountability framework. The GCF overall has some strengths with respect to the operations, in particular in regards to the Readiness and Preparatory Support Program, as well as accreditation. But it does not meet the GCF needs to signal and realize the environmental and social performance, as well as co-benefits. The GCF accreditation process, for instance, remains a desk review and does not have an inbuilt verification process that would look at the capacity of accredited entities to monitor and report on environmental and social risks, as well as co-benefits.
Based on all its findings, the IEU lays out a list of recommendations for what the GCF should do to improve its environmental and social performance.
So we're recommending a few steps for the GCF Secretariat as well as the board. The first step that we are recommending is that there be a new policy on ESS. That is, a new policy that understands and highlights the fact that there is a difference between just managing adverse impacts and realizing positive co-benefits. The second thing that we're advocating for is operationalizing and realizing the key elements of the monitoring and accountability framework. This is a low-hanging fruit, and this can be realized quite quickly by the Secretariat. The third thing that we're advocating for is that there should be a policy on stakeholder engagement.